Howdy y'all, welcome back to the Shark Shack YouTube variety channel. Today I should be studying for my midterm and getting good grades, but I hate school, so I'm gonna do what I want. Today we're talking video games. More specifically, we're talking fear in video games. More specifically, I'm talking fear in video games that aren't horror games. Because obviously a horror game is gonna have fear. That's the point of the genre. I'm talking the normal video game that has some fear drizzled into it that makes you get the chills, the bumps, when you're not expecting it. Now, I'm bouncing off the wall today, so I'm going to jump around, keep up, or get lost, man. I'm just kidding. I'm going to try to keep it condensed. I'm going to try to keep my thoughts to make sense, but I'm already getting off track. Let's get into it. Starting off, I'm talking Arkham games. Now, I know, big surprise, Shark Shack talking Arkham, but guess what? I like the Arkham games. I'm gonna talk about them, but I'm not gonna get too deep into them. Okay, don't worry. But we're gonna talk about the big four. Arkham Asylum. You know, the best setting, the most ambiance presented in a Arkham game. I don't even know that doesn't make any sense. I know it's a meme to say Arkham Asylum has the best atmosphere, the best map. Well, it's true, but the map itself makes you feel a little uneasy the first time you play, a little creeped out. Now, obviously, with everything that I'm talking about today, I'm talking mostly about your first playthrough, right? The more you play a game over and over again, the less creepy something becomes, the less spectacular it becomes. But for that first playthrough, the asylum, which, I mean, it's an asylum, is a little creepy. It's a little chilly. There's chairs everywhere. There's blood on the walls. There's stuff on the walls. There's a lot of stuff on the walls, and it's a little creepy. I mean, you could argue it's a horror game. It's not a horror game. You can't really argue that, but the setting is reminiscent of a horror game. Let's talk enemies. The lunatics. All right, those guys that are jumping off the walls, there it is again, the walls. But the lunatics, those enemies are scary, and I replayed Arkham Asylum recently, and they still scare me. So, call me a baby, but I don't like those guys. Also, the first time you face Scarecrow, that fake out crash that happens, that if you're saying that didn't surprise you, you're lying. But obviously the Scarecrow fight isn't that scary in my opinion. Leading up to it, when Batman unzips the body bags and it's his mom and dad, that's a little creepy. But the fight itself is pretty, it's straightforward. The Killer Croc fight is a little bit more scary. You have to be careful of how quickly you run. Also, little known fact, just use the line launcher when you're in the sewer, because then he doesn't hear you and you can move faster. Little pro tip for you, but you do have to be careful of how fast you walk, or else he'll jump out and start chasing you. The entire sequence is a little scary. You can hear the rumblings below the water, but I digress. Killer Croc, scary guy. Moving on, Arkham City. Not a whole lot of fear I felt in this game. I guess the closest thing would be the Mr. Freeze fight. That's pretty intense because you have to adapt, or I guess he adapts, but you have to change up your strategy of how you take him on. And it could be scary because, you know what? When I was a little lad playing Arkham, I did the old gargoyle, get up behind him, silent takedown. But Mr. Freeze forces you to think outside of the box and to get creative with the tool belt that the developers give you. I'm having a real yap session right now, I'm sorry. But Arkham Origins, now also not a game with a whole lot of fear, except for the end boss fight with Bane when he's all big and scary, okay? When I first played this, I was fearful, especially when he starts checking vents and grates. When he catches you, it's terrifying. I was shaking the first time I played it. Once again, call me a baby all you want, but it's scary, man. Ending off with the Arkham series, Arkham Knight has two spooky moments, if you will. Obviously, the Man-Bat jump scare, it's cheap, but it's scary, and it gets me every time. I've played the game a dozen times, and it still gets me to this day. But I argue the more creepy thing, and honestly, it's the creepiest thing in the entire series, is that Professor Pig side mission. When you find the bodies, it's unsettling, but when you actually go to fight him, he's just weird, and you have to fight his victims, and the way they move is just so freaky, and I don't know, man. It just makes me uncomfortable. And I guess that's the point, so good job, Rocksteady, for doing that. You guys don't do a good job anymore. But I said I wouldn't talk about it. Let's move on. Let's talk about multiplayer games. Now, I know what you're saying. Multiplayer games? Fear? I know you guys are MLG, Fuel drinkers, but there's some fear to be had in this genre. Battlefield 1, the first time I played, having a blast, and then a behemoth spawns, okay? This giant armored train that's shooting cannon, rock, whatever. I'm blanking on what the specific term is. I guess there's a cannon on top of the train that shoots rockets or whatever. That's scary when it rolls up next to you and you're just a silly little guy with a shotgun. Also, the Zeppelin, the sheer space it takes up in the sky is horrifying. And the Dreadnought. When someone blows the horn on the Dreadnought, the first time I heard that, I had to turn off the game and go to therapy. Destiny, the video game, the hit video game by Bungie, Destiny 1 specifically. I don't play the other one because, well, I keep getting off track. So we're going to stay on track. Destiny 1, the Crota raid. When you're in the dark and all the thrall are running at you and you can't see anything, I've played that raid dozens of times. Like I said, it's still scary. You know, I'm human. Then, especially when your entire team dies, and now you have to do the raid by yourself, and you have to get up on that little rock after you activate the plate, and the ogre spawns, you have to snipe the ogre. It's double fear, because you're afraid of being killed in the game. You're also afraid of being embarrassed about your friends, but you shouldn't be embarrassed because they died first. I'm projecting. Deal with it. Also, the Sunless Cell Strike, what's up with that? Why is the boss fight in the complete dark and he one-hits you if you're playing hardcore, okay? I don't think he one-hits you. I don't really remember. It's been a couple years. But that strike scares me because I'm afraid of the dark because I don't want to get into that. Let's move on. Lastly, let's talk Battle Royales. You cannot lie to me. That first time you got into a 1v1 in Fortnite or PUBG or Apex, whatever, that first 1v1 you get into is heart-pumping scary, okay? I don't want to choke. I don't want to fumble the bag, but it happens, and that's okay if it happens. But when you're in that situation, in that 1v1, very scary stuff. Anyway, that's all I got. Honorable mention, that one mission in the new Modern Warfare 2 game, I think it's called Alone in the Dark or something, where you don't really have a weapon, you got to craft and go around the soldiers. You really feel helpless, and dare I say it, scared. Anyway, that's all I got. You know what, I appreciate your guys' support, you know. It means a lot. Don't like college. This is a very scary time, and you know what? My YouTube videos, they're a fun little outlet for me, so I appreciate your guys' support. Have a great day, and